So Hazel, we've created the 4 quadrants and I'm just going to let you tell us the story if that's okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to start in this quadrant here, which is the you're okay, I'm not okay. And I've chosen this stag to represent my husband. I've chosen this really because it represents a strong, very capable, intelligent person who I think is just totally okay. He's in a great place and he's very sure of himself, and I find that very reassuring that he's sure of himself. So he thinks he's okay. And in fact, I'm totally blown over because he thinks I'm okay too. Even though I don't feel okay, I feel quite insecure in myself. I feel quite young. I am quite young. We met at 17 and married at 19, so I am young. And I have a sense that I'm looking to my husband, Andy, for him to make me okay. If he thinks I'm okay, then I'm okay. But I don't feel okay myself. I feel inadequate and unable to really trust how I'm feeling and thinking about myself. So here we are as a couple, and I'm just amazed that he wants to be with me and that he wants to marry me. So we get married, and then I discover that actually he's not as okay as I thought he was, or at least he doesn't make me feel okay. I thought that he would make me feel okay, that just being with him would help me to feel okay, and it didn't. So then we move into this quadrant here, which is the point at which we're both not okay. I've chosen a rhino for Andy here because his strength has now turned into something that actually is thick-skinned and not helpful, and he's got these horns that actually are quite painful and hurtful. And I've slipped even further really in how I feel, because not only do I think I'm not okay, but now I've made this marriage not okay. There's something about me that has made this a disaster, and I'm married now. Actually, what's interesting about this one is that the ability for this little one to hide hide down in its shell, because I have a bit of an avoidant personality, and so this next part of me has also got an ability to hide. I've chosen this one because of that ability, just to really close in on myself and protect myself from this now feels very aggressive partner. But also when I do come out, I have just this sense that I just, snails and slugs leave a slime behind them. I just have this sense that the relationship leaves me feeling quite slimy, quite like I create a problem in this relationship. If I can only just get my act together, then it will be okay. But he's not helping, and he's not okay either. So this period here, I would say I felt my most hopeless for our relationship. Actually, hopeless for life in itself, actually. I wouldn't have said I was actively suicidal, but I felt very depressed during this time. The movement from here to here was a realisation that Andy couldn't meet my needs. The movement from here to here really is the realisation that he won't, or he can't, meet my needs. I couldn't work out which one it was. Over here, actually, I was finding a sense that I was finding myself a bit more. I had to stick up for myself. I had to find my own sense of who I was, develop me instead of looking to him. He can't, or he won't do it, so I've got to do it myself. So this part of me here is actually is becoming stronger. So here is I'm okay, but he still isn't okay, but I'm okay. I'm finding that strength inside myself. So when I was thinking about what animal represented this part here, I wanted something that was strong. And I think during this time as well, we were thinking in deep release terms about finding our lion, finding our lioness, anyway, our sense of strength. So I was kind of looking at the big cats and thinking about what cat I could choose for this. And I ended up actually thinking that I was more like this, because although I was strong, I was also really angry. I was angry at Andy. I was blaming him. If in this quadrant I blamed myself, this one I thought both of us were to blame. Here I'm blaming Andy. I'm saying it's all your fault. You should get your act together. I've got my act together. And I've been on this counselling lark. I know what I'm doing. And you need to get your act together now. And I saw him as this pufferfish. He was so puffed up with all of his strength went to just, you're so blown up, you're so full of yourself, and that these just wanted to pop him the whole time, just wanted to put him down to size, just like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I would say this is the time when our marriage was at its most risk, when I feel strong and I'm okay and you're the problem now. And we had some couple counselling during that time, and that really helped. We moved then, I think, I moved as well. I was no longer needing to be quite so angry, and I moved to a place where actually I don't need to be okay all the time. It's okay if I'm not okay, which is interesting because this is the okay, you're okay, I'm okay position. And I began to refine Andy's strengths and enjoy his leadership skills again. And I've chosen this lion to represent him here. And particularly because I've chosen this fish to represent me, which is much more creative, much more free thinking, much more going with the flow, not being so worried about rules, not being so worried about getting it right, and finding an okayness in just being that. And I think that we now have a relationship where we're quite different people, but we kind of fit together, we work together. He's got a bit more creative, a bit more softer. I still love the fact that he's a good leader, I love the fact that he's strong, and he loves the fact that I'm creative, and we can work together in that. So we kind of moved around and are in this quadrant most of the time.
What do you think happened in you? What was going on in you that gave you that newfound strength? Because that's what most people say. How do I get from feeling
From
like
a
this
slug.
to
How do I get from a slug
that was some transformation
to a lion? There's a level of belief in ourselves, but there's also a level of this isn't working. I can't rely on him anymore. I can't look to him, and I have to find something in myself.
I'm taken straight to the person-centered locus of evaluation.
Absolutely.
Tell me who I am, and then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But that isn't working.
No.
Whereas suddenly you're finding your internal locus and beginning to,
Yeah.
the actualising tendency,
Yeah,
person-centered would say, is beginning to happen.
Yeah, and this process happened during counselling training.
Okay,
So
there is a connection
There is definitely
Yeah.
a connection. Why I entered counselling training as a slug, I don't know. But there's a sense in which even when I was like this, other people saw strength in me.
They could see more than you could see in
Actually,
yourself.
and that's actually made me feel quite emotional, I think. I think other people saw the strength and the abilities in me before I did, and drew that out of me, and I started to believe them, maybe.
Any final thoughts, Hazel? That's been so helpful.
Only that when I started to thinking about this for you, and I went back to some of my journals, I felt my mood drop, and I felt actually back in some of those places. We were about to go away on a holiday, just the two of us, and I felt myself be really scratchy and irritable, and I just had to put the journals down for a bit, because actually going back and thinking about those, how I was feeling, left me feeling really low. and left me feeling quite agitated and angry. And I didn't want to go away on holiday like that. I wanted to go away in a positive, in a positive place. But it just reminded me of how actually sometimes it's quite easy to slip back into some of these old patterns.
Also, what's coming into my mind is the Gestalt concept of responsibility. That I sense in a way you took responsibility for your life. Whether or not, my partner changes, I can change. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of courage. But it's so creative, Hazel, to have done all this as well. Is just testimony to how that has released so many things in you that you've done, not necessarily without your husband, but for yourself.
Yeah.
Does that register with you?
Absolutely. For myself, and actually then our relationship is stronger and more creative and more equal. Yeah. It's not a place that says we're both perfect. It's a place that says you're good enough, you're okay, and we can support and help each other. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a great point to finish on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.